Hello there. As it seems, a right-wing alliance is about to win the elections in Italy. The alliance wants a naval blockade in the Mediterranean against migrants. Sea rescuers are appalled by this. After almost 2 weeks of waiting, the rescued on board the CI-4 cheered and helpers hugged each other recently. The German sea rescuers and 87 migrants are allowed to head for a port in Sicily. While the end of their journey is drawing near, new migrants are already daring to cross from North Africa to southern Italy in the central Mediterranean. And those numbers are indeed increasing. At the same time as the CI-4 changed course in the direction of Pozzallo, three parties in the Italian centre-right alliance published their program for the election campaign on Thursday evening. The situation in the Mediterranean is an important point in this. The will of the election favourite Giorgia Meloni from the post-fascist Fratelli d'Italia is a naval blockade off the coast of North Africa, camps for the refugees, early sorting out of those not entitled to asylum. The volunteers are appalled. Camp for refugees? Asked Gordon Eisler. Such attempts have already failed on Greek islands, said the chairman of the Regensburg Association CI, and recalls the sometimes chaotic conditions there in recent years. Because of the Greek naval blockades, many migrants dare to take huge detours, for example from Turkey or Lebanon, to get directly to Italy. People will find ways. Those ways could then be even more dangerous and even more deadly, he says. Thousands want to reach Malta or southern Italy every year from North Africa on sometimes rickety boats. According to the Ministry of the Interior in Rome, around 45,000 people have arrived on the Italian coast so far in 2022. In the same period of 2021, there was a good 32,000. The United Nations counted more than 900 dead or missing in the central Mediterranean this year. Around 40 people were rescued off the island of Lampedusa on Thursday after their wooden boat capsized. Pope Francis repeatedly speaks of the largest cemetery in Europe and calls on politicians to be more humanitarian towards refugees. Meloni and her two allies, Matteo Salvini from the Lega and Silvio Berlusconi from Forza Italia, have something very different in mind. If they win the election on September 25th, and according to polls this is very likely, they want to seal off Italy for migrants. And according to Meloni, the Libyan security forces would be happy to help. For people who leave their homes and dare to flee in the hope of a better life in Europe, this is a nightmare scenario, although asylum is not better life in general. The Member of Parliament Julian Palke from the Greens knows that too here in Germany. He had been on board the CI-4 since the end of July and spoke to the rescued about their experiences. Some of these reports made him stay up late in bed at night, he says. A guest on the ship told me about his time in Libya, the camps there, that the civil war that was flaring up in Tripoli was causing fighting in the streets and shooting everywhere, reports Palke to the German press agency. And he said, he told me that as a black person you have no rights in Libya. It is precisely there that migrants are to be detained and checked according to Meloni's wishes. Here in Germany, this attitude is contradicted by the coalition agreement between the Social Democrats, the Greens and the Liberals. The obligation to sea rescue is there as well as the efforts of the federal government for a state-coordinated and European-supported sea rescue in the Mediterranean. But so far, one has gotten very far at EU level with such a sea rescue. It is true that Brussels considers it a success that most EU countries agreed on a solidarity mechanism in June that is intended to relieve southern countries such as Italy. But almost 2 months later, this is still not in force. There are 21 states that signed the voluntary solidarity mechanism on June 22nd. They can either take refugees from Italy, Spain, Malta, Greece and Cyprus, or help with money and benefits in kind. 13 countries want to take part in taking in refugees. They have made commitments for a good 8,000 people. Germany takes almost half of them with 3,500. In August, the first people were to be resettled from Italy. In return for this help, the southern states will be given new tasks in identifying those seeking protection. According to the will of the EU states, anyone who has no prospect of asylum should be able to be turned away immediately. If Meloni has her way, then before the people reach Italian territory. Such a policy will ensure that even more people die, is what Green politician Parker says. But the new mechanism for distribution in Europe could be just the beginning, he hopes. Well, I have not so much hope. The trend in European asylum policy has been towards isolation for years. A state-sponsored and EU-coordinated sea rescue seems unthinkable. The upheavals resulting from the large refugee movement of 2015 and 2016 were also too great. These cracks could open up again when Meloni becomes Prime Minister. A divided EU. This idea should appeal to Russian President Vladimir Putin. The Italian newspaper La Repubblica recently even reported that, according to the intelligence services, the mercenaries of the Russian Wagner group and General Haftar's allied militias in Libya are deliberately pushing many migrants to make the crossings. This is to put Italy under pressure and reminds me a lot of Lukashenko. However, EU Interior Commissioner Ylva Johansson disagrees with this analysis. No, we have no real indication that Putin will use a hybrid threat against the EU, said the Swede recently when asked by the German press agency. At the same time, she doesn't trust Putin for a second. He not only wants to destroy Ukraine, but also to destabilize the EU. So we have to remain extremely vigilant. And at that point, I can very much agree with Johansson. And I'll see you in my next video. I'll be back.